we have
Thank you everyone for coming along to
director peer groups and tech jams and youth events, and this has grown into a community with over 100 member companies. There is about 3,000 people in the network, and we run sort of 3 strands of activity. We've got a training academy with both accredited and non-accredited training opportunities in various subjects. We run anything from training to lunchtime short masterclasses to full-day events, and a career pathways program as well for people looking to career switch or onboard into the tech industry for the first time. We run a number of connected events. So we've just finished in February a 2-week-long festival of tech, which culminated in about 20 events last year. We then had the big Cornish Tech Showcase at the end of February, which was held at the Atlantic Hotel in Newquay. And we had about 200 people there, all encouraging buying and selling in Cornwall's tech industry. So it was for people of manufacturing, marine, clean tech, hospitality, space, to basically come and source all their technical needs in Cornwall and just try and bring those communities together. And it was a really good event. And then we run Agile on the Beach, which is Europe's biggest Agile conference. That takes place in July. It's about 500 people in Falmouth. And not only is there around 50 amazing talks across 4 tracks, there's also a beach party, a boat party, and a garden party as well. So it's a very, very Cornish conference. There's a lot of flip-flops and no suits, but really, really good event. And now in its 15th year technically, but 14th event. And that's a really good event for anyone kind of working in Agile methodologies and kind of building the community around that. And then, as many of you probably have already heard of, we also host Cornwall Slush. Now, Slush is the biggest tech startup event in Europe, held in Helsinki every November. And they recently started doing slushed events, and these are outreach events in local communities, and we run one of only 2 in the UK. So it's only us and Liverpool that run the UK events, and there's about 30 other slushed events across the world, and we're connected to all those other slushed founders and organisers as well. And the whole point is to make it the most founder-focused event on earth, and give founders the opportunity to connect with each other, connect with investors. And the main sale tickets for Slushed this year, which is on the 17th of September at the Lighthouse Cinema in Newquay, have gone on sale today. So you are the first to hear it. And it's a really, really exciting event. I'll share a video with it with you shortly. But arguably the most important thing we do is run a youth program, because this amazing tech industry that we have here in Cornwall can't function without a future talent pipeline and lots of people interested and excited and passionate about technology. And we know through our work that can start as young as ages 4 or 5, 7 is the optimum age to actually get kids really excited about technology. And so our youth program, through our monthly tech jams, we run a Mission 12 work experience, loads of other opportunities. Robert, if he's still in the room, does all our schools outreach. He's in pretty much every primary and secondary school in Cornwall. All of the other work we do supports our youth program so that we can keep growing the grassroots talent in Cornwall. So that's kind of a little summary about what we do. But secondly, a huge thank you to Toby and the team at the Fibre Hub, because they've sponsored this event tonight. You can thank them for the pizza and the drinks and the venue. So we are a small community. We can't do things like this without help from the community. And the Fibre Hub have hosted us tonight, and they've also got some co-working space, which I know some of you have taken advantage of today. Got an amazing cafe when it's open. The coffee here and the food here is really great. Lots of nodding around the room. So I know it's been sampled by a few of you. And there is Grow on office space as well for anybody growing their startup. And all the businesses in the building are tech and digital focused. So it's also that sort of community building on things like demo night. And obviously we've got great event space. So please do inquire if you're hosting an event or you want to think about somewhere to work from. There's a really nice hub here, and we're all based here as well on the ground floor. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to, actually, if you want to grab a photo of this, this is the demo nights coming up for the rest of this year. So if you like what you see tonight and you're thinking, actually, I wouldn't mind having a go at demoing, you'll get a great load of coaching from the Canopy community team. And we've got 4 events scheduled this year, including this one. So the next one's in June. That's taking place at Newquay Orchard outside in the amphitheatre. We'll be live streaming it as well. The third one is at Cornwall Slushed in Newquay, and then we're back here on the 17th of December at the Vibe Hub for a Christmas event. And this is the first year we've sort of done these frequently, and the hope is actually we can build this startup community, keep working with the Canopy team, keep getting their coaching and amazing network out to founders in Cornwall, and build on these events next year and through subsequent years to give founders as much support as possible. So I'll give you a little taster of Slushed. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Cornwall Slushed. It's the biggest tech startup event in Europe. And much like TED events, Slushed. Today we brought together founders, investors, and a business support ecosystem to support the tech startup community in Cornwall. We've got 18 startup showcases, pitch competition, and adventure village, which you can see happening. Demo night tonight as well. We're having an amazing time here for Cornwall. Everyone's been learning a lot and getting inspired. The pictures this morning were amazing. It's been fantastic to see everybody. I think what's been really nice is just wow, you can hear the energy in it. What do you say? Super great. Yes.
I would definitely recommend being part of Slush to other startups.
Today has been fantastic. It's so inspiring to hear all of these great entrepreneurial stories and these coming together.
Awesome. So you can grab your tickets to Slushed at startupcornwall.co.uk. And then finally, to say a huge thanks to the UK Tech Week is happening all across this week. Lots of events happening all across the UK as well. So thank you to the UK Tech Week team. And I'll hand back to Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki. Right, clicker. So yeah, we are the Canopy community. You can go and look at more, find out more about us at our website. We do have a membership for startups and founders, and you get kind of help from the CTO of residents, myself, and the other CXO members. So go and check that out and have a look. Our network is quite large. We do these events in London, and actually probably just over a year ago we started doing them in London. It was probably to kind of a similar number to we've got here tonight. And we've been building over the past year, and our last event, we had about 100 people to that event. So I think it really reinforces community and everyone coming together, feeding back, helping each other, which I think is really vital for founders. We are going to be using Menti for tonight. So normally we would say keep off your phones and try and focus on the presentations, but actually tonight we want to make it a bit more interactive. So if you could go to menti.com or scan the QR code, you can join the presentation. There's going to be questions and answer sessions as part of the slides that we will be using Menti to facilitate. And you should be able to see this first slide, and this is good validation for it. Messy or difficult or tough. I like tough. Risky. Good. Lots of responses. 19 already. So do follow along. You can ask questions on any slide, and then at the end of each of the demos, we will be going through those questions using it. Cool. This is a quote. So I was doing some training for a while, and this quote came up in the training I was doing, and it was a quote that I knew of from before, but it came back into my mind, and I thought it was quite relevant for tonight. There's a few people that it's attributed to, but I think mainly Rory Sutherland, and the difference between invention and innovation is customer adoption. And I think it really rings true, because you can have a really great idea and invent something, but it's only when you package that up in a way that it's valuable to people, when people start using it, then it's truly innovation. And I think one of the main ways to do that is to get feedback from peers, from founders, to figure out if what we're building is actually something that's going to be of value for our audiences. So I thought that kind of hit a tone tonight. And maybe one of the biggest cases for people not following this is, do people know what this is in the room? Yeah, Humane AI pin badge, which I think had something like $250 million invested in it, and has closed its doors with only 10,000 units sold, because they weren't really addressing a problem that anyone had. Yeah. So I think that's what we try and do in these kind of environments, is to try and bring people together and get feedback, feedback from potential customers, but also feedback from fellow peers, fellow founders as well. So the format of our demo nights are 5-minute demo followed by a 5-minute Q&A, and it's basically for that reason, to solve the number one reason that startups fail. No market need, or addressing something that doesn't quite fit. So are we ready for our first demo? Yes. That was fairly enthusiastic. But I feel like we probably all need to stand up. Everyone's looking slightly nervous. Audience participation is always not going to go too far, don't worry. So what we like to do is just shake off a bit and try not to invade other people's personal space. We're quite close together. And we just need to test an important function of tonight, which is a clap. So can we just... That was very good, in fact. Normally I have to go for round 2. You can all sit back down there. I normally have to go for round 2 because sometimes that doesn't work out. But speaking in front of people, showing your ideas, showing your product is nerve-wracking. So let's give everyone who does a demo tonight a lot of support, a lot of kindness, give constructive questions, and we're going to have a really good time. So our first demo, who is ready for our first demo? I am going to hand over to our first demo. Welcome to the stage, Kate, Radical Wax.
Brilliant. Hello, everybody. My name's Kate Richards. I'm a surfer. I'm a founder of Radical Wax, and I'm on a mission to change the surf wax industry for the better. So although you're expecting lots of tech tonight, I'm obviously not tech, but I do think tech is going to feature really heavily in my business, being able to reach surfers all around the world and selling online and through social media. So it's going to be really, really important to me. Before I get going, just want to make sure everybody knows what surf wax is before I delve into it. Yeah, lots of nodding heads, brilliant. Just for anyone in the internet that doesn't, surf wax is basically placed on the top of your board. It creates grip and stick and stops you falling off. So without it, you can't go surfing. So even if you've got your board, your wetsuit, get to the beach, the waves are good. If you haven't got your wax, you can't go. So why is this such a big problem? Okay, at the moment, every single year, 100 million bars of wax are sold around the world. And 90% of those are made up of a toxic mix of paraffin wax, which is a derivative of crude oil, cheap fillers such as limestone, and synthetic scents that, although you think smell nice, are actually really toxic. So the way these things are manufactured or how they wash back in the sea, they all pollute. So it's a crazy fact that only 10% are eco-friendly, but there is a reason for this. If you're a surfer, you know that you've tried out lots of different eco-waxes, and unfortunately, they just don't work as well. So if you've got a choice between a wax that works and a wax that doesn't, I'm afraid surfers are always going to pick the wax that works. So ever since I discovered what is in these traditional paraffin-based waxes, I've been on a mission to try and change this. So for the last 2 years, I've been working with a spa product company called Lemongrass House. They're based over in Thailand, and they make amazing spa products from sustainable farms for the luxury hotels all around the world. And I asked them if they could work with me to create a surf wax from the same ingredients that works for surfers. And after lots and lots of practicing and lots of testing, all these little pots all around the place, finally we've got the formula right. So I've asked surfers right from little groms growing up right the way through to the national team, and they've all come back with great feedback. And just to show you here, so what's been fantastic is that surfers are a funny bunch. They won't put eco yellow wax on their board. It has to be white. So we went back and looked at all the different ingredients. So coconut oils, natural resins that were clear, we had to use them instead of using like your traditional beeswaxes. They just wouldn't cut it. And I'm really proud to say that we've now partnered up with Surfing England, and we're going to be the official wax of the national team. So from here on out for 2025 and 26. And it's actually a big thank you to them. They've really embraced sustainability. They've said to me they've been looking for a wax for years, and just like me, haven't found one that worked. So today I'm just here basically to spread the word of Radical Wax, get it out there, tell people that, you know, there is now a wax out there that does work and it's natural, won't pollute the sea. And also, yeah, if there's anybody who wants to come and join this great product and try and expand it out to as many surfers as possible, then I would be really interested to talk to you. And just want to show you, just before I go, these are some of the earliest surfers who actually reached out to me and wanted to try the wax. The younger surfers are the ones who really care about what's in their wax. They ask me, how did you make it? Where's it from? They really, really do care. And they are the reason that I make every decision. So these guys here, they've been fantastic. I'll let them show you what they did. So yeah, thank you to them. They braved a freezing cold Perranporth a couple of months ago. We had tried to pretend it was lovely and warm. But as you know, if you live here, it was. So yeah, just before you go, yeah, like I say, I feel like we have a really great opportunity to make a real big difference through something just as silly as a surfboard wax. We could really stop stuff going into the sea that doesn't need to be there and make a difference to future generations. So contact details are there. And yeah, thank you for your time. And yeah, look forward to hearing any questions.
Thank you. So let's see if there's any questions on Menti first. Nothing yet. There's still time, everyone. Questions from the audience?
Hello.
I've got a Swedish boyfriend.
Yes.
Likes to surf.
Yes.
So will it be good for really cold?
Yes, and that's been the hardest thing to make, because cold water wax has actually been slowed up the whole business by about a year, because it's so hard to get a cold water wax that is smooth and will go onto a board in that really cold temperatures. Imagine butter in, when you put it in the fridge, suddenly really solid, gets nice and sticky as it gets warmer. So yeah, we had to change the formula about, I don't know, 100 times to get it right. So yes, and I've been the one testing it in 2 degrees outside, ice on the sand dunes, and 9 degrees water. So and it works. So yes.
Any other questions? Or should we, yeah?
Hello.
In your research as well, how many kilograms of wax or tons of
Yes.
wax going into the ocean?
So I calculated if it's 100 million, it's about 140 million bars of wax makes 40-foot shipping containers, if you can visualize that, every year. And this has been going on for 50 years. And the market is actually growing. So this is actually becoming a bigger problem every single year. So no, and you think something, oh, this is great, it lasts, and actually that's not a good thing. So our idea is to, I'm actually developing, and so this is the tins we use. I'm actually developing and this is a biodegradable plastic. It's not plastic, but it's made from wheat and straw. And my aim is to get this business to a place where we don't leave a trace. So even the packaging here, it looks like plastic, but it's not. It's tapioca starch. So everything we do, we're just trying to re-educate surfers to be like, think about what's in your wax, and maybe things that last forever are actually not great. And it does really last well. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it will, eventually biodegrade as it should.
Cool. I think we'll take a question from Menti. So what is your price point?
Yes, great question. It is more expensive than the alternatives. So usually wax is maybe around £3.95, £4 mark. This is at £6.95. So even though it is at the more premium range, it's actually, surfers don't mind paying that bit extra for the value that they're getting from it. So slightly more, but well worth it.
Good. Next question. Have you thought about the scrape it off and recycle sandy dirt wax aspect?
Oh, no, but it should just, like I said, it should eventually just return back to its natural state. It's all organic. So I'll let the natural world do that for me.
Have you connected with the Skinners?
Oh yes, Ben Skinner was, he actually developed this wax. He actually has been a massive part of this development. So I turned up at Ben Skinner. If you don't know him, he's a longboarder. His son is actually world #1 for juniors at the moment. He's about world #5 for longboarding. And I turned up at his lovely factory and said, here's my wax, can you give it a try? And he was really kind and gave me about half an hour of his time. And he was putting it on his board, and it was probably like version few back from this. And he said, this is what I want from it. This is what it should look like. Go away and do that, and then I'll try it again when you've done it. Because he's a pro surfer. He's not going to try something that is going to make him fall off. He says every time I go surfing, there's photographers. I cannot afford to be falling off my board and looking silly with my sponsors. So he actually made this part of the range come to life, which is the base coat, which is really, really hard. So that goes on first. So thank you, Ben. He doesn't even know this, so
Cool. Do you shop or sell abroad, e.g. Australia?
Yes. So I've just built the Amazon shop, and this is where St. Tech is going to be creating that reach. So at the moment, I've just started in Europe and just making sure I've set up the US store. But definitely every surf market is going to be where this wax I want to get to. So yes, it's in the pipeline of where we want to go.
Cool. Related to that, do you know the rough size of the market for board wax in the UK and or internationally?
Yes. So if you think, globally, if you think there's 140 million bars sold, here it's more like 3 million. So it's actually just a tiny part of the global market. So US is probably the biggest next one. And then it's working around sort of Europe, and then South America, and then Australia. But there's actually, I can see a massive market growing out of the wave pool businesses. And as soon as those landlocked countries get the technology and get on board, I can see this being, blowing up across all those, especially China. I can see this being huge there in the future.
Cool. That is all we've got time for. So we've had a few more questions, and I'm sure we can chat about them afterwards. But a big round of applause. Okay. Right. Getting interactive again, everyone. So get on to Menti. This is useful feedback for our startups and founders. So I'll give you a few seconds to vote on this screen. Awesome. Anyone still voting? Because as soon as I press this button, it will close for you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So our next startup, please welcome Joe to the stage. Big round of applause, everyone. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Halo Check, the online directory that connects patients with trusted healthcare providers. Has someone got the clicker?
Yes,
Brilliant.
that would help.
All very important. So we are all about connecting with care, connecting patients to healthcare professionals that have the skills, have their ID checked, and that have the appropriate registrations. For providers, it is a subscription-based service, and they have a profile that is listed, vetted, and integrated with their online booking system. And this is needed because the NHS waiting lists continue to rise, and this drives growth in private healthcare. Last week, we saw the news about NHS England and the ICBs, so there's going to be no quick fix for the 6.4 million patients currently on waiting lists. This gives us a problem, because if you're not just sent by your GP to your local NHS provider, you now have to take on the decision-making process to find healthcare that is qualified, insured, and checked by the appropriate bodies. We've seen some horror stories recently about people going to unqualified earwax providers, and that was on this morning news. So we've set up Halo Check to bridge that gap. Where are people looking for healthcare these days? Well, they're looking online. Word of mouth doesn't quite cut it when you've got a specific problem, when it's your migraine you need help for, or a child needing a neurodiversity assessment. You need to be able to reach further than just your network of friends. There's plenty of platforms for doctors that host reviews, but not allied health professionals. So we're thinking physios, speech and language therapists, sports therapists, even just basic foot care. All of these professions need somewhere they can be found. In the UK, we've got an ageing population, and as people get older, they have more chronic health problems and they all need support. Then thirdly, we have a change in culture. Because the NHS can't provide all of the healthcare we need, it's becoming more acceptable to pay privately via insurance or self-pay, and people are really starting to understand that health is wealth. So, Halo Check is here to bridge that gap. I'm Jo Kitchen. I am a physiotherapist with experience both in NHS and the private sector. So I know what it's like to be sure that I provide a good practice. My patients say nice things about me, but just struggle to reach people who might need my help. Then I also have Nathan supporting me this evening, who is my husband and is the tech wizard behind this. He has many years of experience of keeping data really safe and secure, and also loves a speedy search engine. Today, what we want you to do is follow along with us on our startup journey. Follow us on LinkedIn, see how we progress. We're here for your questions and your insights. What are we missing? But in order to grow a directory, we need a lot of people, of healthcare providers, to be listed on it. So we are open to investment for marketing and PR to help us grow really rapidly. Now, in order to grow, it's our website at the moment, Nathan needs to finish the website. And I have a growing list of requirements, but Nathan is getting a bit old. His eyes are not what they used to be. He sits all day at a computer and has some aches and pains. I need him to be healthy. So I don't want to trust him with some dodgy chap who fancies himself at the gym and has been on a weekend course. No crystal healing, thank you. I want safe, quality care to ensure this website gets built. So let's help him using Halo Check. So who's the care for? Well, it's an adult. Where does he need care? Solihull, because that's where we used to live. And what does he need help with? This is quite important. He knows that his back hurts. He knows what the problem is, but he doesn't necessarily know who can help him. So being able to search by problem rather than solution is really important. We check we've got the information right. And here we go. Back pain, Solihull Physio for you. Very speedily found. Click on it. Here's the listing. Book now button. He can get himself seen, sorted, and hopefully back to building the website in no time at all. So, job done. It looks simple. It is simple to use, but behind the scenes, Halo Check goes really granular and filters all the options to connect patients with providers that can help with their specific problems. We're doing all the work, checking ID, checking registrations to ensure patients can get the help that they need and they deserve. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions?
Thank you, Joe. That's really good.
You can.
We just need to clear some of these other questions off. Okay. Actually, any questions from the room first? We'll go straight into mentoring. Yeah. Oh, okay.
How do you make money? So healthcare providers pay to have their listing on it. So similar to how you might pay for a listing on Yelp, but that isn't going to necessarily provide you with quite such specific people who are looking for your services as we would. The competition is Google, isn't it? We need to be better than just doing a Google search.
Another question?
So your business, when you get going, depend a lot on brand recognition, people recognizing your brand and trusting that. Have you thought about taking any steps to protect your company, like trademarks, where you at that?
Yeah, we'd like to trust mark the logo, trust mark the brand, and indeed when people have registered, trademark, yeah, when people have registered, we can then give them a logo that they can display on their publicity and their own websites and things like that to say that they've gone through our vetting process.
That's really important as well, because it'll drive backlinks, and those backlinks and opens up things like Google rankings as well, so it can become quite positive, certainly for us to do that.
Great. Do we have a question up there? Companies not quite sure that the care they pay for.
They do some of it, particularly if you go through hospitals, and they sometimes have listed accepted providers. But if you say for physiotherapy, often they don't pay enough for private physiotherapy. So if you have it as part of like your knee operation, they will cover that. But a lot of things people are having to pay for out of pocket. We do, just going back to the question, one of the things healthcare providers will be able to do is say which specific healthcare insurances they accept, because some people might accept BUPA but not AXA and vice versa.
Okay, next question. There's a lot of data and checking. What's the entry area?
As in the administration in the background, I think that?
Well,
Sorry, so I was just, it's a lot of providers, and a lot of different things, like if you wanted to have, where are you starting? What's your entry? Is it like the whole of the UK, you want to do the whole thing all at once? Is it all conditions all at once, or do you start?
So it's all outpatient. So things like podiatry, foot healthcare practitioners, it's going to probably spread within groups. So someone who's signed up for it, or well, is testing it out already, is a foot health practitioner. They are sharing it with their cohort that they graduated with. So I imagine it will go by profession in pockets. But no, it can be open to anyone at the moment.
great. Do you have any competitors?
Well, I did mention Google. There's a few. There's Top Doctors, but that's very much orientated at doctors. And then there's Doctify, but that's just reviews rather than a marketplace. So at the moment, there does seem to be a gap.
Another good question. Will the site show reviews?
Yes, yeah, it will. And we've got a two-stage process for that.
Yes, so there's like one of the difficult things with healthcare is that it's like, oh, I didn't recover. Not really. So we're having to sort of carefully sort of shape what kind of feedback people can leave on things like punctuality, cleanliness, the billing and sort of payment process. So we'll be very specific, a bit like Airbnb is, about the things that we want people to provide feedback on, not a case of like, I didn't recover from this terrible illness, this is a bad person. So some difficult bits to navigate. But, yeah, we will have read.
And this is a really good question, but you've already touched on actually. So what's the difference between your app and Google search? Why would someone pay for a subscription for a problem they may only have once?
Yes, they won't pay. So patients won't pay. This is free for patients to use. It's also free for case managers who might be looking for private providers. So from the patient side, it's completely free to use.
We're integrated with Trust ID. So when somebody registers, we're able to then go through their practice, have each of their staff members scan a passport, do a facial scan, and do a liveness check. We therefore know who they are, and at that point we can start cross-referencing against other professionals' registers to say, not only do I know who this person is, but I also know that they do have that qualification, it is currently valid, which is something that obviously nobody else can do in Google.
Great, we've had so many great questions and there's more, but we haven't got time for them. So do catch up after and ask those questions. But big round of applause, everyone. Voting time. Get those fingers out, everyone.
You need an investor.
Not right now.
Once we've tested it out,
Yeah.
in the future, yeah.
I don't thought it was just exited.
Yeah, sure.
Just give you a couple more seconds to get your votes in. Your feedback more than votes. Right. So 5 more seconds. You will get a copy of all of these at the end.
I don't see it.
Right, ready for our next demo. Big round of applause, everyone, for Chris.
Just a bit of housekeeping I figured out today. I should know this, but the QR code for LinkedIn seems to bring up to a login page. But anyway, so WhatsApp works. Can someone plug this in for me, please? Joking. It's a
Did you see the panic in my face?
All right, well, good evening and welcome. I'm going to tell you a story before I start, and I'm sure you've probably heard it before. A mother and a daughter walk into a travel agency, and they've already booked flights to Canada because they want to help the Canadians because they're under a lot of stress at the moment, right? And so they go up to the counter, and the person behind, they say to the person behind, "We're here to pick up our tickets. We leave next week. We're a bit stressed about it all. What can you tell us?" So a person on the other end is profusely tapping on the keyboard. With a bit of a perplexed look, they look up and say, computer says no. And so, but this is the problem, isn't it? It's all those devices, it's all of your phones. We don't know how to work them productively. I'm guessing many of you didn't grow up in primary school using tech. Maybe if you came in the last 10 or 15 years, you might have used a Raspberry Pi or maybe an iPad. In secondary schools, we teach a bit of Python now, and we do a bit of robotics and some Raspberry Pis. But again, we're not really focusing on Microsoft Word, Excel, Teams. The teachers know that, but some of the teachers don't know it. A lot of organizations don't do a lot of training. I did some training for mine last year, but every organization I've worked in doesn't provide training to people. So how do we get productive? We use a bit of YouTube. We haphazardly try and ask friends, but we're not very productive. So why computer says Kerno? So it came actually the idea out of from the, if you didn't know the skit, Little Britain, computer says no. Okay, some nodding heads. Yeah. I met my Cornish wife hiking on a mountain in New Zealand. And you think of a 5-minute window for her finishing and me starting, I wouldn't be talking to you today. That's 20 years ago this April. And so I guess I've got 3 superpowers. One of them is a deep understanding of tech and a whole lot of range of things, but my main focus is on productivity skills. My second superpower is people. If you've ever met me at a Tech Cornwall conference, you know that I care about you, whether the CEO or the janitor. I love your stories. And also people share information with me that you wouldn't think they would normally share. They talk about their lack of confidence with themselves or with their teams. And so sometimes I work with the tech, but also work with the founders on their people and their teams. And so I'm looking for a couple of founders, maybe 2 or 3 to work with me full-time in a month, some in the mornings, some in the evenings and weekends, because I've got a full-time job at the moment. And my third strength is absolute patience for the beginner. My wife is a testament to this, because sometimes she will just laugh at the patience I have when she's missing out on a click or doesn't quite get the table in Microsoft Word right. And so I guess it's still a massive challenge today. Have you heard of future.net? Yeah. So they did they took some data from Lloyds Bank in 2023, and they had 20 questions they asked everyone across the UK, and they found that 54% of people couldn't do 20 basic tasks. Things like sharing a folder in SharePoint or OneDrive, or they didn't know the difference between a phishing email and a normal email, right? And there's a whole lot of things. You can search it online. A friend of mine, a founder, was at my house on Saturday, and we were talking about trips. And maybe we just with your left hand, put it up if you'd rather go on a beach holiday, put your right hand up if you'd like to go to a ski holiday. Right is skiing and left is beach. And my friend said he'd rather go to the beach because he's only skied a couple of times and he didn't really like it. Me, on the other hand, I've skied double black diamonds and off-piste for many decades. And so therein lies the challenge. If you don't know your sport or your program, how can you be productive with it? And how are you going to learn these things? And who are you going to call? Computer says Kerno. If you've got some small problems and you have my business WhatsApp is there, you can scan that. But I guess it's a growing problem, and I guess I'm asking for potential clients, but I'm also would like to get some advice on a pricing model. And let's get your computer saying yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the audience?
Who's your ideal client?
Founders, people who are, they have the creativity, like my wife, who want to run a business, but they don't even know, my wife knows a lot because I've been working for 20 years, but they don't know a lot of sort of basic tech. They're struggling with the strategy to where to grow from, just like a one-person band to a bigger company. Yeah.
Any other question?
So you mentioned productivity. So how would you go about assessing their current productivity and where you can improve it?
Well, I was thinking of offering some free 30-minute checks where probably a lot of it have to be done remotely, and I would sort of watch what they do and sort of their everyday tasks. Obviously, there's non-disclosure agreements probably be signed and stuff, and make sure you don't have things open that are private, but just sort of watching them, what they do, really. I can tell if someone, do you know what the bookmarks bar is in your browser? Does anyone know what the bookmarks bar does? Yeah. Good. Well, I mean, everything from a UX or user experience should be no more than 2 clicks away in my mind. It used to be 3 years ago, but I think it should be 1 or 2. Your bookmarks bar, if we go Control-Shift-B, reveals a bar. You can drag a favorites icon down onto the bar, and then it's 1 click away. Or you can put in a folder of bars. Yeah, little things like that, which people just don't know.
Any other questions? Don't think we've got any on Menti. On pricing, I actually got a question on pricing. What you said you want to get some feedback on pricing. What range are you thinking of pitching your services in at the moment?
I'm thinking 1,000 to 2,000 a month, but at the moment the people would only get me, could be early mornings between sort of 6 and 9, and after 5 and on weekends. So maybe it's a bit, maybe it's, I don't know, yeah, I'm not sure really.
Okay, and did you say founders were some of your main target audience? Yeah, so I guess afterwards, feedback will be appreciated for Chris.
Why?
Well, I mean, don't they say that you should sort of pick a niche, right? I mean, I could do the whole, world, right? Because I mean, who are you going to call? I've tried calling Google. It takes an hour on the phone, but I mean, I've looked up. There's not many people in the county even, or that sort of do this. There's lots of managed service providers that will change your password and set you up with teams and stuff like that. But how many people actually can sit you down and go, right? You know, what you're doing there is not very productive. I would like to say the whole world, but so many people online are kind of telling me that I shouldn't do the whole world. So what's your advice? I mean, I like a big call center, call center in the future, personally. That's the big vision, not just a one-man band.
Picking a niche is, yeah, they do say pick a niche, but that's one view. If that niche really needs your, but if you pick the wrong niche, and you pick, you know, you might well find that there's other people, there's a whole range of people that actually, you know, you might want to like test out.
Starting at
aim for 6 niches, and aim for 6 niches, and one of them more successful than the rest.
Okay, other than Mansplain and Nuki, and I put out there to people that I can solve your problem probably under 20 minutes for 20 pounds. And then maybe something around, I don't like to do the hourly rate because a lot of people would say it should be based on project pricing. But again, if it's a bigger project, someone wants me to make some videos for them and help them with their social media, then that would be a project price. It wouldn't be an hourly. I would like to kind of get locked into the hourly, the 40 or 60 pounds an hour. Think numbers I'm toying with here.
You're a teacher by background, aren't you?
Computer science.
Yeah. So, and I've known you for a long time. You've been very engaged with the Tech Cornwall community, and I know that you're also really creative, and you do have the absolute patience for things. And I think knowing the tech industry in Cornwall, there is still a big digital divide. I mean, our average reading age in school in Cornwall is age 7, and that's from children up to 4 to 16. And so I think where you've got a real gift is actually the people in local communities like Nansleddon, who are perhaps accessing this tech for the first time. And there's a question on Menti about YouTube, and I think even your creativity as you working this day with the hat sharing, all of those things actually would really lend themselves to YouTube and into those local communities as well. And I think the price point for founders, and having been a founder, that would put me off because it's a big outlay. But that hourly rate of like, I just need to just
one thing, yeah.
Yeah, then to Ben's question on the previous bit, the entry point is can you just fix it? Because the productivity is slowing me down. And yes, you could spend the time teaching them and learning them so they can fix it, but actually it's probably in your interest if they phone you each time that thing breaks. So just some thoughts.
Yeah, the second, the 1,000 sort of thing was something I kind of made up. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to test it. That's why I came here tonight. But I still like the idea of the 20 quid. We had I'm not sure how much time we have.
You've got like half a minute.
We'll tell another story later about how I came to the 20 quid. Someone came to my house and fixed something that I could have done myself. The screwdriver, the frame was off in the door, and it wouldn't close properly. Oh my God. he's going to charge 35, but they decide on 20. And then I thought, well, 20, that's a call out fee. But to me, I can do something in a couple of minutes. So maybe it's a couple of 20 minutes, 20 quitters every, I'm not so much worried about the money. I love helping people.
And you can solve it in 5 minutes, which
Yeah.
means you've got great markup.
Right, we've run out of time.
Well,
Take a round of applause. Pack your wigs away. The first wigs we've had at Canopy Demo Night. I'm here for it. I like it. Voting time or feedback time. Just give you 10 more seconds to get that feedback in. Right, ready for our next demo. Can we welcome Charity to the stage, everyone?
Hi everyone, so I'm Charity and I'm from Mapping.
Thank you.
Now, there's a problem in the education system. Well, there's more than one, but this one's quite a significant one. Here's your standard staff room.
Sorry, Charity, could I just ask you to hold
Oh,
that?
sure.
Just for the live streamers.
Okay, sure.
you can put it on
Hello.
Super.
So there's a problem in education, and imagine this is your standard staff room. Can you guess what the problem might be? Absolutely, I can hear it already. Stress, yes. So in any staff room, stress can be a challenge. Most of us, we need a little bit of stress to work really well. Real challenge hits us when it becomes overwhelm. And unfortunately, overwhelmed teachers don't usually make great teachers. And students need great teachers, and you need to not be overwhelmed in order to be creative and be inspiring. It's a big challenge. It's such a big challenge that about half of teachers will leave within the first 5 and 10 years of working in the industry, which is such a shame because you come into the vocation with passion and wanting to make a difference. So what's the solution? Reduce the grind. We know, because it's such a huge issue and there's been so much extensive research into why so many teachers are leaving, that there are certain things that cause the issues why people feel overwhelmed. And it's around marking, and it's around assessment, and it's those kind of things. So if we can reduce that grind, we can make a big difference. And that's where Mapix comes in. So Mapix is a live class mark sheet that shows learning in real time. So in other words, what you do is instead of taking your stack of books home or leaving them till the end of the week and marking them, you mark a live mark sheet in class, which is pre-populated with everything that the teacher needs to cover for the year. It takes about 30 seconds to do it. You might do that daily. So instead of having a big load of work to do at the end of the week or the end of the term, you just do 30 seconds online, pre-populated, and it gives you individual pupil reports. It gives you your data about how your whole class is doing, and it automatically syncs so that your head teachers, school leaders can see all the data about the whole school. Where are the gaps? Where do we need to spend a bit more money? You know, how are we doing for the end of the year, basically? And the best bit, it even writes your end of year reports for your parents, pulling through all their targets from what they've learned in class. So you might be thinking, well, I'm not actually a teacher, so how is this relevant to me? And for that reason, thinking that most people are probably not teachers in this room, I'm not going to do a full demo of exactly how it works because it would be pretty exciting if you're a teacher, but if you're not, it's a bit like, so how is it relevant? Okay, so a lot of you in here will know a teacher. Some of you in here will like a teacher. And hey, a few of you might even Love teacher. Anyone in here love a teacher? Yay! Good. Hands coming up. So this is the ask. Can you share Mapix? It's specifically for teachers working in primary education. Here's the QR code. And if they use the code Tech Cornwall, what it means is a teacher can use this platform, saving them heaps of time and hopefully reducing that grind, that overwhelm. And they can try it for free. If they love it, great. They pay what they feel the value is for them. They do not, we're not going to put a price tag on it and say, okay, you have to pay this much money. You pay what the value is. So if you feel the value and that school can put in some contribution towards it, great, because it means we can then build up our marketing and go a bit further with the product. But it's already a fantastic product that hopefully will make a lot of difference for a lot of people. Do have a second ask as well. Sorry, I snuck a second one in there. Collaborators. So can you support our vision? If you think you can support and you want to come on this journey with us in terms of marketing and social media, and as we move into AI implementation for improving the report writing things, so we can pull in even more data about how pupils are doing, then we'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for listening to the presentation, and I'd be delighted to have any questions.
Thank you, Charity. Have we got any questions from the room? While I try and find a relevant question on here.
You said that at the moment it's a what you feel it's working. Is that your plan, like long term, or are you doing that?
No. Yeah, we're doing that now. So what we'd like is we'd just like to get teachers using it and get their feedback, and most importantly have those conversations, which I've had consistently throughout the build, which is, you know, how's it working for you? What would be better? What's on your wish list? What can we do next? Which is how so many of the features have been built, just with those relationships with teachers. Yeah, probably similar to other assessment packages where it would be annually a school would subscribe to it. So, but keeping that price point really reasonable. It's such a small company. It's such a lean model because it's been bootstrapped and built on my own experience. So it's very, very low overheads each month. So it means that we can keep the price low for schools. We just want as many schools as possible to be using it so we can keep great teachers in post.
Another question?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea in terms of setting pricing. I guess the question is, all schools have severe budget constraints. So how would you show any payback or benefit to the school houses, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we know that we can look at, for example, how much time you can save, and time is money. Yeah. So schools usually have an insurance policy that means that if a teacher goes off sick for 3 days or more, then their insurance kicks in. But if it's fewer than 3 days, it doesn't. So every time a teacher is off sick, and stress and overwhelm causes a significant amount of that, it means that they're covering that daily rate with supply teachers. It also means that when supply teachers are coming in, they don't necessarily know what's going on in the class. And so, you know, Mapix is designed for them to be able to jump straight in from where the teacher left off. So it's the real value is in the consistency for the children, and also in just that quality, that time, and reducing overwhelm. So it's demonstrating that, but just finding different ways to demonstrate it. That's why I'd love to work with somebody who's kind of in that social media and marketing space that can really articulate that for me even better.
Someone that really understands the budgets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you got many schools using it at the moment?
We've got one school testing it at the moment. Okay. Yeah.
Cool, that's good.
Have you approached what they call trust?
Yeah.
Multi-academy trust.
Yeah, so it's more tricky to sell into multi-academy trusts. So the route in for us will probably be becoming a member of something like CAF, which is Cornwall Association of Primary Heads, but there's also lots of other associations. And the other route in for us as well would be visibility on EdTech marketplaces, and doing some marketing outreach through that as well. But yeah, basically every EdTech company in the world wants to sell directly to multi-academy trusts. So getting through that door it's a thick door. Keep trying.
Just going to switch over to Menti now because we've got a few questions. So is the aim to cover secondary schools as well as primary?
Yeah, we will move to secondary schools as well as primary. And the reason for that is because when you're a primary school teacher, you just know those children so well because you're with them all day, every day. And then they leave you and they go to secondary school just with a level. And a level doesn't tell you that they're absolutely fantastic at writing prose, but they struggle with their spelling, or that they don't know what a quadrilateral triangle is. All of those things are kind of like those granular things that you know about that child. It's using Mapix, you can literally hand that on to the next teacher, and the teacher can carry on from where they left off, rather than bringing them in year 7 and giving them a baseline test, which doesn't necessarily give you the best result and the best sort of picture of what that child can really do. So definitely.
Great. Does it rely on being integrated with other digital tools at schools?
No, in fact, it's designed not to be. So it's integrated with a platform called Wand, and Wand is well known in the EdTech community for pulling through your management data. So your pupil name, surname, their age, whether or not they are special educational needs, all those sort of different indicators about children. It's integrated with that, so it will pull through that data anyway, to make sure that you've got consistency and it's all accurate. But it can work with it. So if you've got a particular platform that kids love using, like Maths Whiz or whatever, carry on using that. This works alongside it. It complements it. It's for teachers to be as creative as they want, use whatever platform they want. But this is their private sort of mark sheet for recording everything that they're seeing, and then generating those reports.
Great. Just do this question and then one last question. What are your current competitors?
So there are competitors out there. It's the main difference would be that they're incredibly clunky. So when Chris was saying about, it should be like 2 clicks, some of these competitors that are out there for filling in, backfilling in data about pupils, you kind of have to wait till the end of term, sit there, backfill it all in, and it is literally death by spreadsheet. So there are plenty of kind of competitors out there, but they're not intuitive, real time. You can't use it on the go on an iPad easily, and it doesn't create beautiful reports and visually pleasing sort of graphs and things like that. So there's a few, but we're kind of different.
Great. Thank you. Some brilliant questions. Big round of applause, everyone. Feedback time. An excuse to use your devices. Let's go for 5 more seconds to get those feedbacks in. Right, time for our last demo of the night, everyone. Big round of applause for James.
Okay. Hello, I'm James. Thank you for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll start with my background because it's a bit of a niche subject, and to introduce the problems I've encountered and then use that to set the context for the solution I've been developing. I think it's important to start with the background first. So I'm going to focus on offshore wind because that's what I spent the last 15 years designing wind farms, lots of different roles in renewable energy industry. But since I started this 7 or 8 months ago, the number of people who said that's applicable here, now I can see that being used here. It's a method and it's a tool. It's not specific to offshore wind, but that's my language, so I'm going to present on that basis. Hopefully, people can then see the translations. I've got a 1-minute demo at the end, which I'll get onto. So in terms of my background, I've worked in many different projects over the last 15 years in lots of different types of offshore renewables, from R&D projects through to some had 2 or 3 years as a lot of senior responsibility on the world's biggest wind farm. The work that I led on Dogger Bank, which while I was previously employed at another company, was about challenging the status quo of how something should be designed. We developed a new way of doing things, and the outcome was that we won 2 major industry awards. This looks small, but it's 10 stories high in terms of a building. It's most of the size of this building we're in lying on its site. And that's the small bit in the mid between the pile that goes in the seabed and the 300-meter turbine that goes on top. One of the common observations that I have from the last 15 years is that it's always the interfaces that go wrong. I'm confident that the new approach that I've been developing over the past, few years, but specifically the last few months, can genuinely tackle some of the ongoing, recurring problems that projects come across time and time again. And I know that because I've been there and I've done it myself, and I've needed something like this, and it's taken a few months now to get retrospectively think, right, that's what I could have done with, so now I actually build it to help me in future roles in the future jobs in the future. So for context, the scale of offshore wind turbines now is absolutely mind-boggling. You might recognise Carlin Cross over on the side there, just up the A30. That's approximately the right size there. It's obviously PowerPoint art. It's effectively a turbine that's the size of the Eiffel Tower, with each blade being as long as the diameter of the London Eye. And you can see relative to Carlin Cross what that looks like. You wouldn't see these onshore, they're just too big. So I know it's a niche subject. So to summarize, a large new project might have 300 of these turbines, cost £10 billion, and use installation vessels that cost maybe £200,000 per day per vessel. There might be 10 multinational organizations just in the first tier of contractors to build it, plus all the other ones below that. So for me, interface management doesn't just mean the contractual scope boundaries between the organizations, it's the physical interfaces between the components, schedule interdependencies, supply chain commonality, basically anything that is an interrelationship between or within different projects. The whole field is complicated and complex. It's a huge dynamic system full of tiny parts, all nested compoundly within each other. So if you change one thing, you don't trigger a chain reaction. It's more like a web response because it's multi-dimensional. Everything affects everything else. And because of that, no one person in a project or even one organization can really fully understand the whole system. There's just too many specialisms involved in all the different disciplines you need to make it work. And yet, as far as I know, and I've worked in the industry for a while, there's no standard tool or even a standard methodology for making sure this is done well. And so it's probably not surprising that people keep saying, well, this is the problem. This is the thing that we keep tripping over and over and over again. So I've shared some of these ideas with a few companies under NDA, and the response in the last few few months has been phenomenally good. Very strong. Sorry, not too far. So you can see here, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is now. So I'm doing this because I've been tired of waiting for someone else to come up with a solution to this ongoing problem that I thought was desperately needed. And I'm doing it now also because floating wind is coming soon, and it's coming here. This is a few gigawatts of floating wind projects in the Celtic Sea. It's currently kind of in early planning phases. Floating wind is a heck of a lot more complex than fixed wind. And the negative experience that we've got so far from fixed wind is just each puzzle has so many more pieces in it to start with. And Murphy's law strongly implies that if we can't do it with fixed wind, we're going to struggle with floating. We need a whole systems thinking approach
to really get on top of this. So I'm seeking two things here. That's a lot of words. I'm just going to summarize briefly. From a technical feedback perspective, is anyone aware of anything similar to what I'm about to show? Maybe from other sectors, because other sectors have been grappling with this sort of thing for a lot longer than offshore wind has. And secondly, I'm starting to consider investment pathways. I'm open to start conversations because so far I've been self-funded, working 2 days a week for 6 months. I'm employed 3 days a week as well. So this is unfortunately a little bit, the colours are a little bit, haven't come through very clearly on the slide, but it's intentionally vague in terms of the detail. You're not supposed to read it. The point is there's lots of kind of boxes within boxes within boxes and lots of nodes and edges that connect them all together. And you can imagine a project with 300 turbines, each turbine has thousands of parts in it. This can become an extremely complicated diagram, but reality is complicated. So building a model like this to represent the wind farm, you can do it at whatever level you like. You can start with the top high level and then you can fill in the details afterwards, or you can start with the details and then build up and amalgamate afterwards. It's highly flexible. You can create nodes, assign responsibilities to great companies, vary them by phase. You can search, filter, dynamically zoom to content. You can import a CSV of all the technical queries on a project. So between all these different organizations, there'll be hundreds of things in this list. And it's really hard in a spreadsheet to see, well, what are the big issues? What's actually causing the problem? What's causing the delays? Where are the cost penalties going to come in? Because you can't visualize it. It's too difficult. And the model I've got at the minute, it's a very complex system, but there's a very simple review process. You can start anywhere in the model, and with a very clear, quick process, you can produce a fully auditable list of all the things that would be affected by changing one thing, by following all the different paths through the network. Because it's all about getting the hidden interfaces into visibility, because it's the hidden ones that cause the most problems, because you don't realize until it's too late that it's a problem. I've talked about the kind of costs of these projects, and the daily cost of delay when you get to construction phase is hundreds of thousands of pounds per vessel. So the opportunity cost, or the opportunity value, if you like, of making this better is absolutely mammoth.
Last 30 seconds.
Thank you. So yeah, so the value is where there's a lot of value in making this better, and that's actually all I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
A working prototype at the minute. I'm looking to commercialize it.
Have we got any questions from the room?
Okay.
So I imagine that you could use the software well. You could also use the software badly if you put it to someone else's hands. Like, because you know how it works, you can use it well. Have you given it much thought to how you sort of train people up on it? Is it something that's intuitive to people who are in this industry already?
That's okay. That's a good and a helpful question. So, to start with, I was imagining using it in a kind of consultancy capacity, to kind of start to build it up slowly, because you're right, it's such an overwhelmingly big task. Most projects or big, utility scale organizations will have, an interface manager role, but my experience so far is that everybody does it differently. And so if you leave one company, join another one, you've got to start again. You've got to learn a new process. And there's so many different document control systems, project management systems, that everything's different. One of the things I've focused on with this is CSV import, CSV output, export, so that it will work with any system that any company is already working with. You get used to using this, but it can then speak to any of the other systems that it's using, because it's kind of lowest common denominator of inputs and outputs. It is once the model itself is generic to a wind farm. You don't put any kind of individual numbers in it. So you wouldn't say the turbine is this big. or this is the kilovolt rating of the electrical equipment. It's just that you're noting that there is a relationship between these two things. Other document control systems will say what that value is, but you just need to know that, okay, on this project we learned that that was connected to that and it was something we tripped up on. It's much easier to see that in a diagram where you can search for stuff than in loads of different lessons learned spreadsheets which get archived away and no one looks. So it's about getting everything visible. There's lots of dynamic searches, kind of search and filter abilities within the tool.
Great.
I'm not sure I answered the question, but
we've got a few questions on Menti. So who is the buyer for this software? Who's it targeted at?
So when I started to think about this, it was from the perspective of project developers. So the clients, the people who organize the funding, they kind of do the development work, and then they contract out the construction work. As I've gone through, as I've started to talk to more people about this, I've realized it's the term EPCI, so engineering, procurement, construction and installation companies. I tended to think that it wouldn't be for them, it'd be for the developers. But as I've thought about it, I've realized actually the companies that, well, this might be terminology that's not familiar to some people. So either a utility company will multi-contract and they'll appoint all the different contractors themselves, or they'll say, right, we need a big EPCI company to take it on as a lump sum or a single project. They'll organize all the interfaces. And the thing is, it's the same risks. It's the same problem if something doesn't fit with something. It's just that you've given the risk to someone else. And you ask the EPCI people, the big organizations, to manage all that for you. So it's the project developers, it's EPCI companies. I've realized it's applicable for new technology developers as well. So I was talking to someone at a conference a few months ago who was developing a novel technology specifically for one part of a mooring system for floating wind technology. And I said, oh, presumably you thought about, if you're reducing the loads in a certain part of the system, you can make the components smaller, they're cheaper. Presumably you thought about the fact that if you make that smaller, then this becomes cheaper as well, and you can get away with a less expensive vessel. And the guy I was talking to suddenly got out his notebook and he started scribbling down quickly. And they hadn't thought about all the kind of knock-on positive implications. So there's also the technology developers. These are things that are getting bigger, further from shore, more extreme conditions all the time. There's constant flux of ideas and new innovations. Disruptive technology means that there will always be a need to reconsider what interfaces, because you bring a new idea in, it replaces an incumbent idea, and that interfaces will change by definition. That's the reason why they come up with innovation.
That's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. When you talk about it, I was imagining it one big company doing this big project, but then you were describing a number of other companies that could be sitting underneath that, doing all their bits. Could your software connect with it to itself? In other words, you create one part of it, then you connect to the next bit.
Yeah, in principle, there's no reason why you couldn't kind of build it up in modules so that one company comes along and says, this is our understanding of our interfaces at the start. This is someone else's. You kind of join the dots, if you like, and you've then got the whole project in one place. And that's actually one of the things I've been thinking about, is engaging with a few trial technology developers to kind of say, well, this is what it looks like for this technology and for this technology and this technology. And now if we put them all together, this is what a project might look like. And then use that as a way in to say, well, here's 50% of a new project already populated without having to start from scratch.
It's really interesting. We've run out of time, unfortunately. There were more questions, so do catch up after and get those questions. But thank you very much. Right, that was our last demo, everyone. So last opportunity for feedback. I will give you 20 seconds. Thank you, thank you. So we've got an important last vote. So this is our people's choice So do vote on the demo you enjoyed the most. Just give the last maybe 10 seconds to get those votes in. There's a tough choice. They're all really good demos tonight. Last 5 seconds. Ooh, it's too hard to call. But Radical, whoa. Went too soon. What we will do is we will keep the links open on this, so you can actually come back to these and carry on voting later. And we'll round out tomorrow with who our people's choice is. Again, same with this question. We like to get feedback on our demo nights. Again, we will open this up after the demo night, so you can actually give us some responses. I can see people typing, so I don't want to go to the next screen because it's going to lose whatever you're typing. But I'll give you maybe 5. There you go, fun. I'll take fun. There you go. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. There you go. Some positive things there. And we also have another question, which again, you can come back up to afterwards about things to change, because we always want to learn and improve what we are doing. And there's also like an MPS style question. So you can come back to that later as well. There you go. Straight in with a 10. We'll take that. Yes. Just before we go, Nikki did refer to this earlier, but we are doing more demo nights this year. So this is our second Cornwall demo night. We want to do more. I'd love to bring more of a community feel around startups to Cornwall. So please do come along, show support, spread the word. Thank you everyone for coming. Been great feedback. So give yourself a round of applause and have some good networking.